So when we get a client that wants to sell, we need to almost set that business up so it's ready for sale. So what we'll do, for instance, is we will do an IM for that business. So we'll collect all the business data that we need, that a buyer is going to need to assess that business. And we'll put that into an IM. So effectively, we do like a mini due diligence on that business prior to a buyer looking at it. That's really important because we need to figure out where the objections are going to come from, where there is, spots that need to be fixed up. All of those kind of things happen before a buyer gets to look at any portion of that business, any part of the IM, any part of the financial statements. All of that kind of stuff needs to be reviewed by us to make sure there's no problems. So that's a pretty big job. Depending on the size of the business, it can take days, it can take weeks, and sometimes it can take months to do that work. And also matching up buyers. A lot of work's done with buyers to prepare a buyer for what they're about to go through. So if we don't do this preparation work on all that kind of stuff, it just makes the sale so much harder. So if you do a really good job with the prep work, the sales process is reasonably more simple.
One of the things that is underestimated the most is just how long it takes and how much work is involved to actually get a business ready for sale. I think that some sellers come along and think, I'm ready to put on the market, I'm ready to sell the business. Finally, I've made that decision. So therefore, here you go. Let's get this business sold. But often, a lot of the work needs to be done before. So you almost need to. When you decide you want to sell the business, you've almost got to allow a period of time for you to get all your accounts in order, make sure everything, because it's all about presentation, and especially in such a, in a market, you're dealing with a lot of buyers that, that they might have, they might get sent 10, 12, 15, 20 businesses a week. So it's really about cutting through and actually, being able, not only being able to sort of present something that, that catches their attention, but also you've got to have substance behind it. Because if it gets too hard, or the information is there's gaps in the information, or there's too many questions, well then it makes it hard for then to actually move through the process quickly. So it's probably that getting a business ready for sale is probably the most important thing, because really, if you could have the best business in the world, but if it's not presented properly, or if it's if you feel like you're asking for something that is unrealistic, well then it's probably got less chance of selling. So, people can think about the actual sale process and understand the sale process. I guess the more emphasis that might be placed on all the pre-sale work that needs to be done, and knowing that work, that work that you do, ultimately, it probably speeds things up. So it's worth taking the time to do it. If the information's not there, and there's not easy access to a data room, and it's all clear and concise, and you've almost answered a lot of their questions before they need to ask them, then for buyers it's really becomes too hard, and they move on to the next one.
When we've got a client who's looking to sell their business, and they've decided that they want to work with us, and we've decided we want to work with them, what we have to do now is we have to get everything ready so that it's prepared, so that when we can see these gates that it needs to go through in terms of a successful sale, we've got everything prepared for those gates. Now, those gates are that all the information has been presented really well for a buyer to be able to look at. Nice and clean, they can understand it, they can access it easily. So we get everything, we collect everything, we work out what we need, and we collect it all and then put it in a nice, easy format in our data room. The second thing we need to do is we need to prepare a marketing booklet that's an overview booklet. And that's, in this case, that's an information memorandum. So we'll build the story out and we'll create a booklet about that particular business. So we've got a team of 3 or 4 people who will actually work on the build of that information memorandum. And that's the expectation of buyers as they're coming through to look at these medium to large size investments, that they want to see an information memorandum that's got all the information they need, concise and brief, in one document, so that then they can review that themselves and with the other decision makers. It might be a board of directors. Might need to go through to the finance department. Eventually, that might need to go to a bank or whoever's going to then help fund that as well, or it might go through to a co-investor as well. So that document's really important.
I guess for the M&A scale of business, doesn't really matter the nationalities. This type of scale will have to be professional with all the numbers and evaluation of the business, but taking account of the emotion inside for the owner, for owning the business for many years and they getting ready to sell. So you have to be super sensitive towards the owner side. And to the buyer side, if it's international buyers, if it's Asian buyers, they have certain requirements they consider, apart from the language, the settlement, and the staff, and you have to helping them to settle into the area. For example, in Victoria, for immigration, you have to understand the process of immigration laws, and also the later on with the employee and staff contract, you would help them to make the process easier for the buyer.